there's actually real powerful science around what happens when you chat about your photos. When we started learning all that, we're like, it's the perfect name because it's the chat that really is the magic.
Imagine a Utah where every strip mall looks exactly the same, where your only coffee or hot chocolate option is Starbucks, and every shopping trip takes you to the same big box stores. For 17 straight years, Utah has ranked #1 in the nation for economic outlook. But as we expand, corporate giants see opportunity, which threatens the small businesses that make our state special. That's why I created this podcast. This isn't just a podcast, it's a blueprint and a call to action for my fellow Utahns. Let's keep Utah local. This is UtahPreneur. How do you go from mom guilt to a viral $500,000 ad to building one of Utah's most beloved startups with your husband and 7 kids and the guy that used to make your Subway sandwiches? This is the story of Chatbooks, and it's way more fun than you'd expect.
Tell us about where we are.
This is we call it our clubhouse. It is not the first office that we've had. We had a really big, beautiful office in Provo in the Riverwoods, but then COVID.
Okay.
We were really lucky to find someone to take that lease, and we thought maybe we'll never have an office again because we had embraced the remote first way of working. But as more people were starting to come back to work, and we realized we really need a place to host people like you and when we have clients come in. So we're in Lehigh right now, and we are sitting in front of our lore wall.
Okay.
One of our designers, Houston Trueblood, designed this. Every image in this is connected to some piece of Chatbooks lore and history.
So give me like the best 2.
The best 2. Well, right there I see Floppy Hat Guy.
Okay.
Okay, he does have a name, but we're keeping it secret. But when we had our office in the Riverwoods, every day a guy wearing a floppy hat would walk by, and he just became part of the flora and fauna. And we kept a log of his habits and his plumage. My husband's a really big birder. So at the top there, you see a bird that Steve and Tanya Vastanet designed for us.
Okay.
Oh, the Jaunty All-Star is up there too. Another designer. We have a code. Our values, our all-star values.
Okay.
We make a chapbook of it to distribute to everybody to help, keep everyone on the same page about what the culture here at Chatbooks is and what we're striving for. And the Jaunty All-Star is kind of the mascot of that.
Take me back to 2014.
Yeah.
You're a mom and your preschooler is loving a book that you didn't make, right? Is that the story?
So Declan, he's my youngest. He's 17 now. But when he was 5 and getting ready to go to kindergarten, we had a moment. He's like the happiest kid. And when I heard him bawling upstairs, I expected there to be blood or something. Like that's not like him. And I ran up to see, and no, he was just looking at a photo book that his preschool teacher had made for him. She'd taken pictures throughout their year of their class parties and field trips, and this was a graduation present for him. And on the eve of going to kindergarten, he was looking at this book and feeling all of the feels.
Wow.
In fact, he told me he never wanted to grow up. And it was this really tender moment, right? My baby's going to kindergarten. But it was also a moment of like immense mom guilt because I believe in the power of our story. And I was a diehard scrapbooker for my first kids. Kind of fell off the wagon as more kids came along and as digital photography became the mainstay. So here's my kid, and all he has to show for his life up to that point were these random snapshots that his preschool teacher had made. And I was failing at this important job to be done. And we needed a way to make that right. So I knew I would never go back to scrapbooking. My husband had been building a solution for family memories for a couple of years that wasn't really taking off. And so I suggested, maybe you could just print my Instagram. That was a way that I had been sharing photos and like a little journaling caption over the course of Declan's life. And if I could just print that, he would have more to show for the life he's lived up to that point. So that was kind of the impetus of starting Chatbooks.
Okay, so this computer program he had built for sharing family memories didn't pan out. For what reason, and why did Chatbooks work?
Because it was basically enterprise software for families.
Okay.
And the chief household officer of the family is typically the mom. right? And they have better things to do than to like sit down with this complicated software and tackle another big job. And I think that's why it wasn't taking off. I wasn't really using it. His mom was using it. He had a cousin that was using it. The heart of it was good, like to preserve our family memories, but it just required more of a lean-in experience. And with the print your Instagram model, we were already doing the work because we felt this draw to share publicly on Instagram. And in the process of that, we were curating the thousands of photos that we take and adding a little, caption journal bit. And so taking something that we were already doing and giving us what we want and like setting it up and just forgetting about it, like that was magic.
Yeah.
That's what busy families needed.
Was the original version like you didn't even have to touch anything and you'd get the chatbook in your mail just from your Instagram posts?
Those are the golden days. Yeah, it was super. It was magic because a lot of people had been posting and they'd never printed anything. So literally set up your account in 30 seconds and all of a sudden everything that you've ever posted is delivered in a series of 60-page chapbooks. It was incredible.
Yeah.
I will say as things, as we started growing and selling more and more books, like, of course, the next thought is what happens if Instagram shuts this off and cuts us off? So we were immediately trying to build a way to replicate a straight from camera roll experience. But that was,
its own story.
That's its own story. Yes.
So how long did it take you to build that first product that could actually do what you wanted it to do? And was it just for you, or did you know you were going to roll it out to other people?
The print your Instagram, that took about 2 weeks to get my prototype. And as soon as I showed my books to my sisters and my friends, like instead of hearing people say, whenever we would show them the other thing, they would say, oh, that's really great. I should totally do that. Should being like the big word, right? People were like, oh my gosh, here's my credit card. Can you give me mine? Like, shut up and take my money. Like, those are the types of things we started to hear. We knew we wanted to sell them to more people. Like, we had personally invested all of our savings up to that point in trying to build the other thing. We'd moved our family from Florida, where I am from originally, and I wanted to live the rest of my life, to Utah. So, like, we were very much invested and ready to roll it out to the whole world.
The light bulb moment was your son crying with his picture book, but you'd already been basically failing at building something for that for, 2+ years?
I mean, if I'm honest, the first check we wrote was probably in like 2005.
Wow.
It was kind of like a little like passion project on the side, pay a developer in Russia to build out something, pay another random developer to do the next thing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until about, I would say 2007, 2005, when my husband really started doing this full time.
Wow.
So that's a lot of years.
Yeah.
And a lot of money. And, I don't have a Harvard MBA, so I was just letting him do his thing. Not to knock on him. He's very smart.
Yeah.
Right? It just turned out that like the product he was building the customer was a mom, and I know moms.
Yeah.
And it took me too long to speak up and say what I really thought.
So you've got your MVP in 2 weeks. It's working for you. When was your first customer signed up?
I don't know. Like immediately. Like we started.
Was it like Venmo me and I'll just add you?
I cannot even remember. It's all such a whirlwind. Like everyone wanted it. So we just started onboarding people. And, like I said, we didn't have any money. So like we couldn't throw dollars at marketing. Instagram was a very different place back then. Whatever you posted, people would see. And so luckily we had hired a photographer to help like photograph our product, and she was like, you should probably start an Instagram account. You're selling an Instagram product. So thank you, Heather Meldenstein, for suggesting that and for also running our Instagram account. But we just started sharing pictures of the books and finding people who had big communities on Instagram, like Allison Faulkner of The Allison Show. And printed all of her books and hand delivered them with donuts and like a thank you. And she would share with her community. It was before influencer marketing was like a job.
You caught that wave.
Yes, we were very lucky too.
Wow.
So we made a splash that way.
Your husband is a developer or?
No, he's an everything else guy.
Okay.
He has an MBA. We actually, a friend of ours from Florida when we were living there, who he was working with on his previous company, is our technical co-founder. So he built he's a whiz. Like he can build anything and he's fast.
And was he with you before with the, do you have like a name for that?
Yeah, it was originally
product?
Folk Story. Barf. Okay. I hated that name. And then Just Family. I did like that name.
Nice.
Before it became Chatbooks.
And was that like a over the dinner table, what if it's Chatbooks kind of conversation, or how did the name come about?
In the other thing that he was building, there was part of the app where you could share photos with your family and text about them. Like we'd have a chat about our photos. So chatting about our photos had become like something that was in our mind. So when we finally realized people don't want to just have these conversations online and in the cloud, they want a book. It just felt like a natural like chat books.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until like a couple of years later when we did a research project with HP and the University of Utah psychology professors. Yeah, where we realized there's actually real powerful science around what happens when you chat about your photos. They call it elaborative reminiscing. It's connected to all kinds of positive outcomes, reduced anxiety, better problem solving, better self-esteem, connects and strengthens families. And so when we started learning all that, we're like, it's the perfect name because it's the chat that really is the magic.
What I understood from that study was also the physical photo, not a digital photo, right?
Right. Well, like anytime we're on our phones, whenever I'm on my phone, I get notifications and a pop-up and this and that. And it's so hard to discipline yourself to like ignore all that. So next thing you know, you're back on Instagram or you're looking at the news or you're checking the weather, whatever. It's a stressful experience.
Yeah.
It's completely different than offline, sitting on your couch, looking at a book, probably with a couple kids next to you. It's better.
Yeah, it's special. And it's, I mean, that's kind of your DNA here, right? Like it's all about bringing families together.
It's our mission. It's painted on our wall to connect and strengthen families. And it literally guides us in everything we do.
So how long did the print your Instagram thing last?
Until October, this past October.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it tapered quite a bit, but Instagram finally pulled the plug. And not just on us, but on any third-party app. No one has access to their API anymore.
Was that brought on by Twitter doing the same thing?
I don't know. I have my theories, but I will say over the year, we've done a really good job of onboarding our customers into a product that wasn't reliant on Instagram. Less than 2% of the photos we print were coming from Instagram at that point.
Nice.
It would have been nice if they had given us a little bit of a heads up so that we could tell our customers who wanted to, print before it turned off, to re-authenticate and get your books printed, but they don't work that way.
Big thing with Chatbooks, besides bringing families together, is you make it easy and you make it cheap, right? How were you able to do it at such an affordable price? And have you gone down over the years in terms of like your actual margins, or how has pricing evolved and how have you thought about it
That's
in terms
a very
of
good
the
question. Yes.
average family?
Well, one of the things that we really believed that would help differentiate us and get people talking about us is if we had like an unbelievably low price. And so our original books were soft cover, 6x6, 60 pages for $6.
Wow.
Why 666? That felt like a really bad idea. But I don't know. My husband was really set on the fact that we needed something simple and catchy and like blow your mind inexpensive. Like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Right? And, we've been doing this for almost 11 years now and costs go up. And I remember once we were at an event and I ran into a bunch of women who were customers and they were telling me how much they love their chapbooks. And one of them said, honestly, I can't believe it's only $6. You could totally charge more. And I was like, really? Because we watched our costs keep going up. And so over, the course of doing business, we've had to raise our prices a couple of times. But what isn't more expensive? I just spent $30 at Chick-fil-A the other day. I couldn't believe it, just for two of us. But we're super committed to having the most affordable photo book on the market. The other thing that's been really tricky is you're marketing a product to consumer, we're so accustomed to having a sale, wanting a deal,
Yeah.
being served up a deal. Often those prices are artificially inflated.
Yeah.
You know, they'll say it's this price, but 75% off. And you're like, well, I have to buy it.
Yeah.
But if you actually do the math, you're not really getting a deal. They're just messing with you. We lived in France a couple of times. And one of the things that I loved about our time in France is things are just, they cost what they cost. Twice a year, they'll have a sale. But the rest of the year, it's just what it is. So you're like, I need a shirt. You go buy a shirt. You don't have to worry about like gaming the system, right, to find the best deal on it. And that's how we started in the early days of Chatbooks. But those like flash sales are like a drug. It's just dopamine, instant sales, and it's hard to be disciplined with it, because if you ever just need a little boost, you're like, oh, we'll have a flash sale. Next thing you know, you're on sale all the time, like your competitors, and you've lost your soul.
Yeah.
I mean, that literally happened to us.
And your marketing team's burnt out.
Yeah, well, they're burnt out, and they just it's a one-trick pony. And then all of your like real meaningful messaging, you don't have time for it because you're just pumping out these sales.
Yeah.
So this has been a big year for us, kind of like 10 years in, looking back and saying, you know, look at all of this that we've done and all that we've learned. How are we going to continue to differentiate ourselves from our competitors? And one of the ways, you know, super easy, super affordable. Our brand is focused on fun and family. But like treating our customers like smart individuals and not playing into that system. So we'll see how it pans out this year. We're like watching our numbers and we're like, ooh, it would be nice to just do a flash sale right now.
Yeah.
But we're going to stay committed to our ideals. And we'll see what happens. But the marketing, direct to consumer product is, man, it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I think Americans just need a little less dopamine in general.
Yeah.
Like it's so overstimulating to go shopping anywhere here compared to Europe or, like you said, in France. And it's a message that the high quality customers, I think, will very much appreciate. And you can focus more on branding and loyalty.
Right.
But it is scary in the meantime.
Yeah. And I will say, we have a product that even over COVID, when, you know, things got pretty scary and people were scaling back spending, we had like one of the best years.
Yeah.
Because I think photos and memories, that's not necessarily discretionary. That's like, people are going to keep buying them. So we just want to treat our customers with respect that they deserve and hope that they will be loyal to us.
Yeah, it's a beautiful blend of software and like a physical product. I hear you refer to Chatbooks as a software company. But as far as being AI proof, like this book that I can hold in my hands, that won't be replaced by me looking at something on the Meta Quest, you know, like living in a memory, hopefully.
Well, and
maybe for some people, but not.
I'm all for enjoying your memories in any way possible, right? Like we have a Google Home on our counter that shuffles through photos. I love home videos. But there is something special about the tangible object. And in the early days, we would even refer to it as our bookshelf backup, because how many times have we lost a big chunk of photos for whatever reason, dropped the phone in the toilet, whatever. It's nice to have something, you know, to preserve that. And I just don't think those are going to go away. And also for kids, like we're always trying to take the screens from our little kids, right? You don't want to have to hand over an iPad for them to look at their photos.
Yeah.
So I always say moms are our customers, but the kids are the consumers. They're the ones that pore over these, sleep with them, take them to school with them, love on them.
There's this concept by Clayton Christensen called like jobs to be done.
Yes.
Right? And you got the little hire, which is when you click purchase on the website and it's like, okay, did I feel good about that? And then the big hire is when you actually get the book and your kid sleeping with that is the best customer experience you could ever give.
Yeah.
You're obviously very clear on your branding, your vision, your values now. How did that evolve over the years? And were you able to articulate it from day one? And how have you noticed that is perceived by the public?
We were very clear on what our branding was and our values. And I think we were better at it in the beginning. Again, I think we had this like direct relationship with our customers through Instagram. That was primarily the way that we talked to them. But as Instagram evolved and our business evolved, and I talked about the flash sales, I think that our messaging just kind of it got a little diluted. Also, when it's something that we are living and breathing 24/7, we're like, we've talked about this already, but sometimes we forget that, we might have customers that have been with us for 5 years and don't know about our toddler guarantee, where we'll reprint any book that has been overloved by your little ones. So just remembering that, like in anything that's important, you got to say it over and over and over again. And this past year, we've really redoubled in all of our efforts to talk about our mission. And I'm hoping that we get better at it.
The product at the end of the day is so simple, but it's just doing the right things over and over again, sounds like.
Yeah, and one of the things that we do differently than traditional photo books, in the past, like you make a photo book for a special trip or for your wedding or to commemorate some big milestone, but we really believe in the power of everyday moments. Everyday magic is how we refer to it. So it's little in-between moments that maybe you wouldn't consider worthy of like a full-blown photo book, but those are the memories that really tell the story of your life together. And those are the things that you're going to want to hold on to, all those little in-between moments. So that's why I think our photo book subscription is so magical, because it's just an easy way to capture, print, and hold on to those everyday moments. Just pick 30 to 60 photos a month. We are all taking that many photos, and they're not all like frame worthy or like probably won't put them all on Instagram, but your family doesn't want to reflect on an Instagram worthy life. It's just the real and raw stuff. In my month books, I include pictures of my children's horrendously dirty bedrooms, because that's something to remember. I didn't know a room could get that messy. And it kind of tells the story of our family's life at that point.
I love that. How many Chatbooks do you have at your house?
I'd probably say like 200.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, and they all don't get looked at all the time, right? Like the thing about the month book is, and I said that kids are consumers. You can barely get from the mailbox to the house before the kids are like ripping into them. They love them. So having this like regular arrival of a chapbook for them to devour and love and tote around with them, I think that's serves an important job to be done, right? And it serves a function. And then I also love yearbooks, making a big hardcover yearbook. Sometimes I'll just take all those photos from the month and put them in that yearbook. That can go on the shelf, or maybe, when kid moves out and goes off to college, take that with you. There's two different jobs to be done, and you need both of them.
So take me back to your early hires, kind of growing the team, figuring out how that all worked. Sounds like, in speaking to your team before this, it wasn't the cleanest process. How did you figure that out, and what mistakes did you make along the way?
Well, thinking about our earliest team, it was my husband and Steve, our technical co-founder, and a couple other guys building this solution for me and moms like me. And I never wanted to join the team. Like, I'm a singer and an actress. Being an entrepreneur, building a business was never anything that I wanted to do. But watching these guys build the solution for me was maddening. And it was probably more maddening for my husband, because I'm always like, why are you doing it that way? Why is it that color? Why that font? Why are you talking about it like that? And so he kept saying, please join our team. We need you. But like I said, my youngest was just going to be in school all day. I was going to have all my days to myself for the first time in like 18 years. I didn't want to work for him. But it became really obvious that we didn't have money to hire the people that we needed. I know the problem we're trying to solve. I know our customers. And so I joined the team, reluctant, but also excited about the challenge ahead. And then we started hiring more women. That was super key to us being able to grow and serve our customers. But again, not having a ton of money, like we had to get a little scrappy and resourceful. We hired the guy that made my husband's Subway sandwiches at Subway, Josh. We called him Subway Josh. He helped.
Is he on here?
No, I think he is on the lore wall somewhere. He actually broke his leg on a mountain biking trip, so I think there's something in there to commemorate that trip. Team building, mountain biking trip, and he.
Okay, there you go.
So we hired him to do customer support, because Nate and I were trying to do it all night in bed and not doable. Then we realized that, like, if again, our customers are primarily women and moms, like, why do we have this random sandwich guy talking to them all day long. We started building what we refer to as our mom force. It was a customer support team of women, moms, who were, most of them, customers first. And they would message us and say, I am obsessed with this business that you're building. Like, I want to be part of it. How can I help? Do you want to join our customer support team? And so we started building it that way. Super scrappy. There are a lot of women that are primary caregivers at home that are smart and talented and want to be part of something bigger. And being able to work remote was a win for them and a win for us.
Yeah.
So that was a huge part in building our business and our brand.
Yeah, I think that's how JetBlue grew as well, primarily.
Yeah, we actually modeled it after that.
Nice.
One of the companies my husband was building was owned by JetBlue.
Okay.
And so we were very familiar with that model. And so that was in our mind as we were building that out.
And now you have over 160 employees?
Give or take, yes.
Okay. And how many of them are here in Utah?
That's a good question. I think it's like maybe 50%.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, it's always changing. For many years, we were very committed to everyone being in the office. We're only hiring from Utah. It's true. There is a certain like magic and synergy in working in person, but COVID made us rethink all of that.
Yeah.
And it was actually really nice to be able to hire the best person for the role, no matter where they live.
Yeah.
We're still figuring out the best norms for remote first work. In the end, that was like a super big challenge that ended up being a blessing for us.
And the countries that you guys are in terms of highest buyers, I would assume be US first and then like Canada, UK, Australia.
Yeah.
And you have employees in all of those countries as well, or are they all in the US?
Not employees, but we do have print partners in all those areas. So that helps with shipping books and tariffs now.
Yeah.
But all of our employees are based in the US.
Nice. Talk to me more about the funding that you guys raise. I think you've done A, B, C, and D.
No.
No.
A and B.
Just A and B.
Seed
Okay.
with Kickstart, A
Okay.
with Signal Peak, and Aries Capital
Okay.
was RB. When we were building this business, those wilderness years, he raised money from friends and family, and Kickstart was our seed investor before it was Chatbooks.
Wow.
I think based on his charisma, but also his experience, his passion for the mission, his determination. I think that's worth noting, that sometimes like you think you need the winning idea, but sometimes someone will see something in you that they're like, I don't know what he's going to end up building, but I can tell they're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
That's how we got started with.
Those were your
That's how we
first two
kept
checks.
going. You kept going. Yeah.
That's amazing.
We get asked a lot, about that and if we bootstrapped. And I've heard other successful entrepreneurs saying the key is just to bootstrap. And it's like, yes, like I would have loved to have been able to do that. And we didn't, because we were chasing the wrong thing. And we spent too much money building something out before we had proof of, market fit.
Yeah.
So that's a lesson to learn from, that we try to share with other entrepreneurs. Like, do not build an app. Like, that should be the last thing you do. Don't spend all of your money building out an app that you hope will work.
Talk to your customers first.
Yeah. And when you talk to them, listen to them. Because I will say, as Nate was building Folk Story and Just Family, I would put together these focus groups that he would walk through what he was building. And they were all my friends, moms like me. And everyone would politely nod and say, yes, this is amazing. Yes, I should totally do this. But inevitably, every time we did that, someone would ask, but can I print all of this in a book? And he really believed that print was dead. We wanted it safe and sound in the cloud. The last thing you need is more stuff in your house. Ignored that over and over and over again. So when I finally was just like, print my Instagram, he was like, did someone say print? Wish I had listened to that a few years ago. So it's a little tricky though, because as an entrepreneur, you want to believe in your unique vision for the world.
Yeah.
And you do have to have that and like doggedly chase after that. But you also need to listen to your customers. And if they keep saying the same thing over and over and over again, that's worth paying attention to.
Yeah. And, like you said, ask them to pull out their credit card and pay for it, not just give you a polite nod.
Yeah.
Going back to the point you made earlier about raising money, would you say that it sharpened your focus? Like you tried bootstrapping for 10 years, didn't really get anywhere. You had the aha moment and then you raised capital, like 2 years later? Mm-hmm. And then from there it was like, okay, we really have to take this seriously.
Yeah. Well, we were ready. Like we were very invested. We were so excited that we had finally found the thing that was working. And then we just needed cash. And we're so grateful for Signal Peak to invest in us and allow us to make some really big bets.
Yeah.
You know, up to that point, we had spent zero on marketing. We had done some like boots on the ground influencer marketing. We had built Megatron. Where is he? Oh, he's right there between the A and the T.
Okay.
It's Megatron, a robot that would basically scrape Instagram profiles, anyone that had an email address and a big following. And we had built this automated program offering with an email, with a book, with their picture over it, offering free books if they would share about us. And that was working amazingly. And, you know, having printed photos of your social media posts was a novelty, and people were really excited about it. So we were sending all these books around, and people were sharing it, and we were growing. But then we realized that Megatron was scraping profiles of strippers and other like not family friendly personas.
Hey, we can print this for you.
Because we got a call from the print shop, and they were like, you might want to come see what's going on, because all these automated, you know, programs were printing lots of skin books. So we had to put Megatron in retirement. But yeah, we've done all these scrappy things up to that point. And so finally we had this investment and a lot of money to do something really big. And we had seen Purple and Squatty Potty do some amazing long form video marketing and wanted to try something like that. And so with that investment, we were able to hire the Harmon brothers to do our Real Mom video, which was amazing.
So for those who don't know, you should definitely go watch it after this. But basically, the mom's walking around her house. Her kids are, you know, firing a crossbow at her, trying to jump out the window, etc.
Just real mom life.
Yeah, 100%. And then Chatbooks is presented as the solution to keeping all of these memories. Talk to me about the process of that ad. You said you had writer retreats. Obviously, the production budget was quite big. Any numbers you're comfortable sharing? And then what did you learn throughout that process and just the story?
So first of all, we had to basically audition for the Harmon brothers for them to take us on. Like, I was so excited. We had this big check. We're going to come hire you. And they were like, we'll think about it. So gratefully, they were like, okay, yeah, we struck up a deal. And like you said, we had writer retreats with their writers and our team, just like building out concepts and ideas. I had a pretty clear idea of the story that I want to tell, the message I want to tell, which was basically the story of my life. Busy mom, life is happening really fast. You want to hold on to all of the, you know, exciting, messy, sticky, crazy stuff, but don't have time to sit down and do a massive project. So we built out this script and hired Lisa Valentine Clark, who I saw her once I was a beehive, and I was like, she is me. I love her. I want her to play me in this video. She was amazing. She is so freaking talented. But yeah, there was a lot of back and forth in the actual like building out the script and then the filming. And I was able to be on set a few times. And I mean, what it reminded me of a lot was like making Thanksgiving dinner. I don't know if you've ever made a whole Thanksgiving dinner by yourself, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And it's days in the kitchen. And by the end of it, when you're ready to serve it up, I'm wondering, does this even taste good? I have no idea. I don't even know. Like, let's just eat, right? That's kind of what it felt like when we'd gone through all of this and they finally sent us the final cut. I remember my husband and I were driving down I-15. We pull over. We're like, okay, this is it. We're going to watch it. And we'd seen a lot of revs before, but here's the one that's going to go live tomorrow. And we're kind of like, yeah, it's good, right? It's good. And I just was like, this is the Thanksgiving dinner syndrome. We got to trust the process. It's going to be amazing. It was very nerve-wracking because I think it was $500,000 to make that video. Which is like, I don't know, like today with inflation, maybe that's like not a big deal. It was a big freaking deal for us.
$500,000 for 4 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yes. Right. Yes. But I think it was a unique time in history. Facebook favored this type of long form video. I think it wasn't up for 24 hours and we had 1 million views and it just took off from there. And it really like just told the world like who we are and what we do and what's the heart behind our brand. And it was amazing.
Was there a significant amount of money spent on it as well, or was that all?
Eventually. Okay. Yeah, but not for a while. Initially, like a lot of organic growth. We had like a launch party where our team all got together and the Harmon Brothers team, and we showed the video, and then it was like 3, 2, 1. Everyone shared on their personal account.
Smart.
And then just kind of that snowball, we let that ride for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
So cool.
And over the years, we also did follow-ups to that hero video a couple times, which didn't do as well, even though I think one of them is like just as good. But we've been able to repackage some of that content and use it in other ways. But that real mom character has kind of just been an iconic part of our Chatbook story.
100%.
I will say, though, in that video, we really drove home this Instagram connection to our books. And at that time, it was a real valid way to make your books, and it was making us a lot of money. We had a lot of happy Instagram customers. But that messaging got so ingrained that even like 10 years later, I just spoke at a conference and I had a couple people come up and say, but I don't use Instagram anymore. So I can't get my Chatbooks. And I'm like, guess what? You don't have to use Instagram. But we did such a good job driving home that message. We've got to figure out how to get the other message out too.
It's amazing how much, like, yes, you spent $500,000. Yes, it was probably a year or 6 months to make it.
Yeah, about that.
But it's 10 years later, you're still riding that wave. It's maybe time for a new one, but once every 10 years, you can do that.
Yeah.
It's so cool. What was it like watching the sales numbers once that started going viral?
Nothing better. So fun. All night long watching everything go up. Yeah, no, it was incredible. And trying to recreate that.
Yeah.
I mean, we did. We hired Harmon Brothers to help us do a couple other videos. I think there was just this tweak in the Facebook algorithm when the next one came out. And so it didn't do as well organically. I don't know. I don't know why it didn't do as well.
It's like right time, right place.
But this is like the story of entrepreneurship is like things will work and then they don't. And you got to figure out another way. It's just like this linking of S curves. My friend Whitney talks about S curves. And you just, right when you think you got to figure it out, you've got to start over again. And that just continues to this day. We continue to have a little bit of a tough relationship with Instagram. For the last 8 days, we've had zero access to our Instagram account, our Chatbooks Instagram account, which, you know, feels devastating at one point. We're like almost 1 million followers and now they're all gone.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we're going to get it back, but it's given us some space, some breathing room to rethink our strategy there. And is that really, do we really want to have this much invested in this one platform? How could we do that differently? How could we diversify more? Could we have some different messaging? You know, is that really the right goal? Getting to 1 million followers, is that really going to move the needle as far as like conversion? It's just in every like hard challenge, there is a blessing.
Yeah.
That has been a theme throughout our journey and we're living it right now.
S curves. I love it. Was there ever a moment where you were like, I want to burn this whole thing down?
Yes.
When was it?
Yesterday? No, I get that way because I'm not a true dyed-in-the-wool serial entrepreneur. My husband, he's very much like, never give up, never run out of money. That's his mantra. And I'm like, I'm done. I want out. No, but like I was just saying, this new challenge of like a world without Instagram, what could that look like? And what does that allow us to do?
Yeah.
Is exciting for me. So I'm back in.
Okay.
Yesterday I had a bad day, but I woke up feeling differently this morning. But I think that's like expected. And if any entrepreneur says they don't ever feel that way, they're lying.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. Like when you start a business, it consumes your life.
Yeah.
You'll get better at making like, I was going to say balance, but I don't believe in work-life balance, but you'll find a sweet spot where you're doing both your life and your work, but it's always there. It's never off. You're never fully free of it. It never fails. Every time we go on vacation, something happens, some business emergency. And that's just life.
The life of an entrepreneur.
But with that comes so many other amazing things and so much flexibility and so much satisfaction and so many opportunities. And so just both.
You sort of stumbled into this personally. You never wanted to work in the business, right? Did taking on money, kind of becoming the face of the brand, your podcast, all of these things affect your mental health or well-being in a way that you've had to work through over the years?
I would say it's been challenging and extra challenging, but I believe that in every challenge, there's opportunity for growth. So when I think about all of the hard things that we've done over the last 10 years, I'm so grateful for it because I've personally grown so much. We've also gone through some really hard, challenging things with our family. So that's been hard to like juggle both of those things. And again, this is where it's been really nice to have my husband as my business partner because we are equally committed to the mission of Chatbooks. We're also equally committed to the success of our family. And so having that partnership where sometimes it looks a little different, it's not always 50-50.
Yeah.
I've taken maternity leave a couple of times, where I've had to be like 100% focused on helping a kid through something really difficult. And so I'm grateful for that flexibility. But I think I've gotten tougher. I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Like acknowledging that like we're not always going to be on. We're going to have hard days. And that's something that we also here in our culture of Chatbooks is just be honest with how things are going. Like we can't support you if we don't know what's happening. And if you feel comfortable sharing, then we can, lend resources or space to help support you. So, I mean, I think I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Yes, I have days where I think I wish that we were done, but those are just human moments.
Yeah.
Right? I'm excited to see what we can continue to grow with Chatbooks and how I will personally continue to grow as I keep pushing myself outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah. Almost every founder I've asked that to, they're like, yeah, I have that moment once a week.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay, then we're not alone.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Do any of your kids work at Chatbooks?
Yes. In fact, one of them just walked in. Henry's on our data analytics team.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. At any given moment, we've had at least one of the kids on the payroll. My daughter right now, she's one of our podcast producers.
Nice.
We've had several on payroll, but I will say the ones that, even when they're not on payroll, it is almost like they are working for the business because whatever I'm not able to do that I used to be able to do at home, they're picking up the slack. And I think that's one of the things that's really worked for us and for our family as we've built the business is it feels like a family effort.
Yeah.
Everyone is invested in some way. It might mean that you're in charge of cooking dinner this week because I'm on a business trip or I'm going to be working late. We talk about it a lot around the dinner table, ideating new products, testing. We're right now rolling out a new app called Quilt. I know, I'm so excited about it. And my kids are the guinea pigs constantly. Whenever we're all together, guarantee Nate's going to roll out the wireframes and get their take on it. I think they love it. It's exciting. They're part of it. They're part of the whole process. And they've seen us do this for so long. They know what to expect.
You are in a very high-powered tech world as a woman, and you see things differently. And Chatbooks has succeeded because of that and because of all of the women that you've hired over the years. What's something that you see or believe in the world of business that you think most people would disagree with?
One thing that I believed when I first started here at Chatbooks was that I had to have all the answers and that there was one right way to be an entrepreneur. And I was faking it because I was not that.
Yeah.
I'm an actress. I know how to act a role. But it left me feeling super insecure. And I would go, to speak at something as the face of the brand and I would feel like an imposter. Or I'd be in a meeting and I'd be hearing acronyms that I didn't know. And I'd be Googling under the table because I was too embarrassed to ask. Well, I know there's no one right way to be an entrepreneur, right? There's no one right way to be a mother, no one right way to be an artist. We are all going to bring different strengths to business. And one of the keys is to surround yourself by people that complement your strengths and who can cheer you on and who you feel comfortable asking questions to, because there's no such thing as a dumb question. I was actually in a meeting once, literally Googling something under the table when another woman in that meeting raised her hand and just asked what I was Googling. And I'm like, you can do that? But and other people were nodding. I think someone else probably wanted to know the answer to that question too. The community here in Utah is so generous. The startup community, other founders and entrepreneurs in lending advice and counsel, and you're not alone. There's no one right way to do it. Learn from your peers, ask all the questions, and every time you feel like everything's about to blow up, you're probably on the precipice of the next new big great thing.
Has there been anything that you think helped or hindered Chatbooks in growing that has to do with Utah specifically?
No, nothing that hindered, but I think it had everything to do with our success. I'm a 7th generation Floridian. I never wanted to leave Florida. We started building a solution for family memories in Florida on the Space Coast, where there was a lot of really smart people. It's where they launch all the rockets and the shuttles.
Yeah.
But they weren't really, we didn't have the right people to build consumer software and a product marketed to families, and Utah felt like the right place.
Yeah.
And it definitely was. You know, there's so much about Utah, the culture here, the resourcefulness, the community, the grit. I think people in Utah are used to doing things that have never been done before, building something out of nothing, you know. And that's literally what you do as an entrepreneur. And the ecosystem of Silicon Slopes was really amazing for us, you know, financially. Also, you know, so many mommy bloggers and influencers were based in Utah. So being able to ride that wave was super helpful. We have incredible employees that also, you know, put family first. Family, you know, connecting and strengthening family is the mission of everything that we do with our products, but it's also like at the forefront of everything we do internally. And it's been amazing. I can't imagine building this business anywhere else.
Yeah. You've won a few awards for like workplace satisfaction, right?
Yeah. Best small business for women to work in the country from Fortune magazine. That was amazing. And
Kind of a big deal.
It felt validating. And I'm like, yeah, no duh. We're amazing. But,
so what do you do to make it so amazing to work here?
well, I think that family first focus, you know, in the software companies that my husband had built throughout the early part of his career, it was like very different culture of basically living at the office, grinding 24/7, nothing mattered but just getting the sale and the next deal. And that was hard for me because I was having babies and basically felt like a single mom for a lot of the time. And so having a chance to build this company together at this different season of our family's life and the history of the world, and wanting it to like our mission to be reflected everywhere, family comes first. And so that just gives us and our employees a chance to work when and where and how it works best for them. Resources for them to bring their best self to work. One of the things that we rolled out right before COVID, you know, shut the world down was something called TAVA, which is access to free online therapy and mental health services to all of our employees and all of their dependents. And I mean, that was the most timely thing ever. And we've, you know, just believe in helping support the whole person. And that a big part of that are the families that they are supporting themselves.
Yeah. So it sounds like you care more about the work they get done than the hours that they put in to get it done.
I mean, we have norms around working on teams in the best way possible, but we're very flexible. And one of our values is to be a grown-up. So we assume that everyone is going to be grown-up about it and do what's best for the company, but also what's best for them.
So we ask every guest at the end of the episode to shout out 3 other Utah businesses that they love, they think everyone should check out. What's your take on that?
There's so many. The first one that comes to mind is Freshly Picked.
Okay.
Susan Peterson is the founder of that business, and she's been doing it for a long time. But when we started 10 years ago, she was my girl. She was so generous in giving us advice. We did some collabs with Freshly Picked. She does bags and moccasins. She started out of the basement of her home, no business background, super scrappy. She was on Shark Tank.
Got to write that one down for the podcast.
And she's been very supportive of other female business owners, and also had to pivot and, you know, grow as the climate has changed over the course of doing business. She's super amazing. I'm inspired by her a ton. I had the chance to interview Hannah Neeleman on my podcast of Ballerina Farm.
Yeah.
And we've known the Neeleman family for a really, really long time. And I remember when we moved to Utah, David Neeleman saying, yeah, Daniel's got some pig farm. I don't know what he's doing down there. And I was like, oh, cool. You know, I knew that we knew them. We knew they were doing pigs. And to see what they have built now, and neither one of them really have a lot of business skill or experience, clearly have skill. They know their audience. They know something. They're building an incredible brand that is just every day they're launching some new thing. So I just love that, especially for Hannah, like a mom that's just taking the experiences that she's had in her life as an artist, a dancer, and as a mom, and putting those things to work, building an amazing business. It's just truly inspiring.
The thing that strikes me about them and you, actually, it's like there's this famous quote by David Ogilvy, who is like, he's the godfather of advertising in many ways. And he said, every product needs to have a big idea. And it's so rare that they do. Maybe 1 out of 100 actually has this big idea. So for you guys, it's these physical books that you can love and cherish and hold your memories. And for the Nealmans, it's like, I just look at their social media. I'm like, these things do not fit together. Like ballerina and farm. And because of that, they've done so well. And they blend it very well, which is cool.
And also, like, she is a great example of someone who's just staying very true and authentic to her vision and who she is. And she's not for everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got more followers than I do on Instagram. People like her, right?
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people, she gets a lot of hate. And so that's like another thing that when you put yourself out there, you just have to be ready to not be something for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get that. And that's hard for me. I have a really hard time looking at our app reviews because sometimes we get unhappy customers and the mama bear in me comes out. But you kind of have to have thick skin in this business. Another business that I really love is Perk. My friend Rena, she does it with her husband.
Love it.
I'm gravitated to these like women founders and couples that build businesses together. But that's an amazing brand, and it's going to be, it is huge, and it continues to grow, and it's fun.
Those
to watch
are the
their
like
success.
it's drink powder, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Protein, and
I've had
some of
that.
them have caffeine, and
My wife
just
likes
a little hug in a mug.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
it's
the
fun.
one that like puts you to sleep. I don't know if it works, but
Chill.
it works for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This has been amazing. It sounds like you guys have Quilt coming out at Chatbooks in the next year or so.
Well, it's in beta right now for our
Okay.
team. We also have another app called Hey Fam. It's another way to connect with your family. Our family text thread is a disaster, and my kids ignore it, actually. So we created another way to message with your family. It's kind of like Slack, but it's like a place for those family conversations that aren't going to blow up your phone with notifications. Also, any photos you share there become a photo source for your Chatbooks. So
Okay, I need to check that out because we've been looking for a new family chat app, and
Hey Fam, check it out.
Yeah,
It's
that's
really
so
good.
cool.
It's all three of these apps are part of our family memory system that we're going to be talking more about in the
beautiful.
future.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. This has been awesome.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of UtahPreneur with Vanessa Quigley of Chatbooks. Before you go, 3 quick things. Number 1, if you love this episode, the best thing you can do is share it with a friend. We really appreciate it. Secondly, follow us on social media wherever you like to. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, etc. The links are always in the description. And lastly, if you loved this episode, don't miss last week's with Shauna Sloan, founder of Kid to Kid. She turned a simple kids resale store into a nationwide phenomenon and even now international, and it's an amazing story. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.